Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good evening. Welcome to the Buddha Dharma TV program, Dhammapada program. Thank you for coming. As usual, you have been punctual. Thank you. Today we are going to discuss verse number 94. We have already discussed last few verses, and there we discussed the status of so-called enlightened, Sotapanna, Anagami, Arahant, all this, Sakurdagami, once returner, non-returner, enlightened one. So we have, to some extent, I guess that you have basic understanding about the enlightened ones, arhants, and I explained you in details precisely the position, the level of Sotapanna, Sakurdagami, Anagami, Arahant, the four stages of enlightened ones. And we now discuss their qualities, how they are in the world of ordinary people, how they are, how we see them, how we look at them, how we understand them. So it is important that we should understand these saints, why we call them saints, how we call them saints, with what knowledge we call them saints. Do we have anything regarding them? We talk about their qualities, noble qualities that we do not possess. We even cannot feel, because it's different stage, different level. So it is very important to understand, at least our knowledge could be bookish, then we can understand their level, what level they are, how they are. In one instance, somebody questioned the levels of these enlightened ones. And it was, of course, at the time of Buddha. Some monks, they came, they complained to other monks, certain monks who were said to be enlightened ones. When they complained, those ordinary people, those who didn't know who the arhants are, they simply have looked at them to make up stories, and they have made a big mistake. We do not play with the fire. The spiritual ones, enlightened ones, are most noble, worthy ones. And if we look at them, if we create certain ill will towards them, we are generating enormous sin that we cannot even imagine how it will be going to be, how it is going to be affect into us. The cardinal error on our part, if we develop kind of ill will towards the enlightened ones. Therefore, it is good to know who the enlightened ones, why we call them enlightened, why we do need to pay respect to them, venerate them. These are the things that we need to know. Especially about the enlightened ones, we have to have a clear understanding of their position, of course without any experience of their level. We need to understand how they are. Then we will definitely generate good attitude towards them, and thereby we will generate in good wholesome thoughts, which we call a meritorious deeds. Meritorious deeds. One time, remember that Buddha answered answer to a question that is about regarding the enlightened ones. When they asked about the enlightened ones, when some certain people had certain concerns, Buddha dispelled their doubts. Dispelled their doubt. Yassindriyani samatang gatani assa yatasara thina sudanta pahina manas anavasas devapitas pyanti thadinu. That is how the Buddha explained about, give a brief introduction or brief knowledge about who the Arahant, who the enlightened ones, who the noble ones, so that the ordinary man can understand. So, yassa indriyani samattan gatani, yassa indriyani samattan gatani, assa yata saratino sudanta. Pahina manas anasavas devapitesa vyayanti tadino. This is what the Buddha said about to dispel the doubt about that person as to how these enlightened ones are. So Buddha uttered this verse. That means those whose senses are calmed as a horse trained by a horse tamer, who have fully given up judgment, who is free of influences. The sight of those mentally stable ones pleases even the gods. Even the gods will be pleased by the sight of these so-called enlightened ones. So this is one instance where Buddha explained in a brief who the Arahants, who the enlightened ones are. So it is indriyani, yassindriyani samatangatani means the senses, the indriyani, the senses. Sense is a name for the 6 senses mentioned in the suttas. Everywhere you have heard of it, we have taught you about 6 senses. They are eye, the Pali word is chakku, ear, Pali word is sota, nose, ghana, Pali word, and jivha is the Pali word for tongue, and kaya, Pali word for body, thought, mano. So these are 6 senses. Right? And tadino is a word that is used, is unaffected by the influences within and without. The Buddha is steady in 4 ways because he has ended his wanderings in samsara. Samsara means a long journey of traveling between birth and death, birth and death. unending journey. You can stop only by way of stopping birth. These are the 4 ways in which he is steady on that account. A person's stability is the emotional stability that comes from not reacting to what is seen. What is seen? Heard, smelt, tasted, or touched. The reaction begins with the judgment of things as good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. Guarding the senses, called Indriya Samvara. Indriya means senses. This senses. Gardening is Samvara, is a Pali word. So gardening the senses prevents the reaction. When not reacting, the senses are calm. So there are no reactions from so-called enlightened ones. So-called enlightened ones, no reaction. Therefore, it is good that we can feel little bit, not feel of course, to understand their level. But then now, having explained who the Arahants, or the 4 different levels of Arahantship, Sovan, Sakradagami, Anagami, Arahat, he explained the position of these enlightened ones. Position of these enlightened ones. It is a stage that there is no more left for him or her to accomplish, because he has or she has accomplished everything what is to be accomplished. What is to be accomplished? The noble Arahants never lose their temper. Whatsoever is done to them, they are as firm and unshaken as the gate pillars that secure city gates. City gates, like in a palace, where the kings and queens and princes and princesses, they are protected by a huge gate. They are as lucid and tranquil as the ocean and the lakes devoid of mud. Ocean is calm, deep in the lakes which are calm inside, deep, no muds. That kind of noble person ceases to wander in the round of existence. The round of existence means traveling between death and birth, death and birth. There's no more. It ceases the round of existence. It's called samsara. Samsara. So these are the explanations given by Buddha on separate occasions according to the questions posed by some enlightened ones and also some unenlightened ones, to see how these monks level. Arahants, there is no question for them about their arahantship, therefore they know. But when the others, due to certain inherited practices in previous existence, then there are sometimes they have the questions to as to why this kind of behavior is conducted by so-called attained, enlightened ones. So that's on these occasions Buddha have explained who the arahants, how they are reacting or respond. There's no reaction by them, not at all. We ordinary people react to this, but arahant never reacts. So the calm and never will be again traveling in the long journey of samsara. How nice it is going to be if we will be free from that long journey of samsara. It is in your hand, it is in my hand. Therefore, Buddha has taught the path to that liberation, to be free from death and to be free from suffering and to attain the deathlessness. Those who attain the arahant, those who attain the enlightened ones, we will be able to see that stage only when we attain to that level. For that, that's a teaching of the Buddha. May you all be well and happy.